In our yesterday's session, we completed the entire exception handling. We completed the exception handling and we discussed moreover about what is the how we are going to create user defined exceptions, as well as we discussed the difference between throws and throw keywords with respect to functionalities and examples point of view we taken. At what scenarios we have to use throws, at what scenarios we have to use throw keyword. Okay, we taken all these examples as part of our yesterday session in detail. And we taken a scenario like how to create user defined exceptions and what is the purpose of user defined exceptions. Nothing but whenever we want our own exception classes, what are the rules we have to follow. So when we can say a class as an exception class, so to make a class as an exception class, what are the things we have to follow? Basic things, basic rules, what we have to follow. These are all details we discussed in our yesterday session by taking different examples. So please, the conclusion point with respect to exception handling is it's a 100 percentage required knowledge for every Java developer, whether you are a fresher or experienced, whatever it is. But it is a 100 percentage required knowledge, because when you are implementing the logic, definitely every time you have to take care of exception handling. Otherwise, you cannot implement a better application any point of time if you don't do the exception handling properly. So the most crucial important topic is exception handling while implementing any real-time application point of view. So please go through it. We discussed almost each and every scenario point of view and every keyword, every functionality with respect to real-time point of view. Just go through it. Okay. So now today I'm going to take a new concept and it is going to take some couple of days. That is called as collection framework. So it is going to call as collections framework or collection API, collection framework or collections API, whatever it is, say. So it's nothing but I can call it as a we used to hear something like DSA, right? So DSA, data structures and algorithms. So data structures and algorithms, right? So it's kind of, it's not kind, it's just like a kind of data structures only, like nothing but a fundamental data structures or DSA is nothing but we can consider as a collection framework. So a basic things or a basic data structures being covered as part of this. So if you are going very core level, that then it will come as a individual subject, individual concept. Then this is very deep and deeper level. If you are going, then it will take very, again, it's a different concept, different subject again. But it's all about a basic fundamental things covered as part of collection framework in Java language, which is Java is provided. So what we can use on daily basis and for simple operations point of view, on a daily basis we can use this collection framework, similar to, not similar to, like as a data structure point of view. So that is what the collection framework is all about. Here it is, and we will see more details about collection framework. And it's more, this is also one of the most important with respect to uh, implementation point of view, interview point of view also. This is the one of the topmost topic. So what is a collection framework and what is the meaning of framework, we have to understand. Here it is. Okay, so here, first of all, collection means what? If you are just decoding the name, so collection means a group of elements is called as a collection, right? And when it comes to framework, so what is the meaning of frameworks? It's all about a set of solutions, a set of solutions. So that means in generally the dictionary meaning of framework is also something you made a solution for an existing issues, or something you made a better solutions of existing solutions. That comes under the framework. So now Spring framework, Spring Boot framework, this is all same. Those are all frameworks simplify the programming language concepts while implementing the some scenarios in a real point of view. So if you are taking those scenarios with respect to programming language point of view, you will take longer time to implement it. But if you take in framework, Spring framework or Spring Boot to do same task, you will complete that within very less amount of time, or maybe 50 percentage of time you can complete that task. So that means it is reducing lot of efforts by the developer, because framework itself having lot of solutions, and you will use those solutions and you will complete your task. So such a way, framework is all about a set of solutions. I can call it as a, a set of solutions generally. Okay. So like that, a set of solutions, whatever it is. Now, what is an API? Again, here it is. So API, I think you know very well about API. But anyway, I'll give you little bit overview about API, because going further, you will use this API word everywhere whenever we are working with any applications, or maybe interview point of view also, or Spring Boot, Spring Framework level also. You need to know this terminology going further. So now onwards, like we used to see JDBC API, Servlet API. So that means now onwards we are going to call everything as an API. Spring Boot API, Spring API, Core Module API, Spring Web Module APIs. So everything now onwards REST APIs, right? So everything we are going to call it as an API point of view. So what is an API with respect to our programming languages or frameworks point of view? Let's try to understand. So what is the point here? It is, so a framework is something. So collection is all about a group of elements. We'll come back to that. What is exactly elements and all. But first of all, let's understand what is a framework. Here it is. So the framework point of view, I said set of solutions. So the meaning of framework here it is a set of solutions. That means, for example, assume when you have a problem, and when you are resolving that problem, assume you are taking, so you are following some steps. Okay, you are following some steps, and you are able to resolve it, or you are able to make it working. So that means you are able to fix it, or you are able to make it, you are able to make it working. So the point here it is, okay, finally you are done something and it is working, and it is able to fix, or you are able to make it as working, or whatever it is. So that means, again in this case, if you are following a basic steps and basic core things and you are fixing it, maybe it's all about some time consuming process. Assume you have a requirement, or if you take an instead of problem point of view, I can consider it as a requirement also. So whenever you are implementing a requirement, what is going to happen? Some, if you are using a basic things and basic solutions point of view, you can implement that requirement. For example, assume it took 1 month of time. So it taken 1 month of time. But if you taken framework help in this case, so a basic solution point of view, assume it took 1 month. But if you added, if you have a so now what is the point of framework? Here it is. Now framework, a third party framework or maybe something else, they said like, if you are following this so and so framework, if you are following so and so framework, you can complete that, okay, task or whatever it is, you can implement that task within 15 days or maybe less than that, like that. So they given the things like that. Why? The reason is because in this case, whatever the framework we are highlighting, that is having some solutions. They are already implemented couple of basics, okay, the common solutions as part of this framework. So that if you are using that framework, you can easily implement that requirement, or you can easily fix those problems easily. So with in the less amount of time, in the less amount of time. So that is what comes under the framework. So for example, we will understand what exactly the framework point of view. So if you take an arrays, one small example with respect to Java point of view. Now we know the concept of arrays. So now if you come back to here, group of elements. I said collection means what? Group of elements. Right now, array is also a collection. I can call array is also a collection. Why? What is the sorry? So what is the sorry? So what is the purpose of we are using arrays generally? to maintain a group of values, integer array, string array, student array, employee array, so and so array, product array, order array. That means a group of elements, a group of values, a group of objects. When you have more than one value, more than one object, whenever you want to deal with more than one element as a single unit, then generally what is the concept we understood in our previous classes? Arrays concept. So array is nothing but a collection. But what is the drawback with this arrays? What is the drawback with this array? So, okay, it's a solution. Array is a solution when you want to deal with group of values. So array is a good solution. Instead of dealing with individual values, like, so for example, integer value 1 equal to so and so value, comma, value 2 equal to so and so value, value 3 equal to so and so value, value 4 equal to so and so value. Like that, instead of you are declaring n number of variables, n number of variables for n number of, okay, data. So what you are doing, you are going to make simply a integer array like values. You are defining only one variable in this case, and you are assigning all those group of values like 1 comma 2 comma 3 4, etc etc etc. So what is the advantage of from the above step? What is the point you observe? Here it is. Here you created so many variables, variable 1, variable 2, variable 3, variable 4, and you are assigning one value at a time. A variable can hold at a time one value in this scenario point of. But in this arrays concept, by using arrays, what you did, you taken a single value, single array, sorry, single variable name. So that means a single variable holding or pointing to multiple values at a time. That is the solution in this case with respect to arrays. So that means arrays is having a good solution when you want to deal with more than one value or multiple values or maybe objects also. But what is the drawback with arrays again? For example, now my point is I'm collecting some students' names. So I want to collect student names. And my expectation is, okay, I'm going to get maximum more and more only 50 names. So I'm going to get at max, I'm going to get only 50 names. Okay, fine. So that means what I can do in this case with respect to arrays point of view is generally what I will do. I mean, programming point of view, string array I'll create and I'll take something like names equal to. Okay, so what we will do generally, new and string array of 50, like that I'll assign. What is this 50? Size. Why I given size? So what is the 50 means? Size. Size means the max number of elements we can store in this array. We can store in this array. So yeah, definitely it is a better solution. Instead of creating 50 times, okay, name 1, name 2, like 50 variables, you created only one variable and that one variable is pointing to the 50 values at a time. So that your requirement is 50 and you define 50 so that you can set 50 values in this array. Okay, cool. So now what you will do in this case is, for example, scenario number 1, use case number 1. Assume you got only 5 names. You got only 5 names. So the maximum you got only 5 names. So what is the point in this case is, the moment you got only 5 names, so what is the point in this case is the remaining, sorry, first point is before going with use case, the moment you allocated this, in the memory, what will happen, JVM memory point of view, as part of arrays discussion, I told you, immediately a memory is going to allocated with the default values based on the array type. If it is int 0, if it is string null, like that, primitive values, default values, or else if it is non-primitive, null value. Like that, what I said, immediately all 50 memory locations are allocated. Contiguous. That means a continuous memory point of view. So what will happen from 0 index to 49 point of view, an array is going to be created. So that means a continuous 49, 0 to 49 index values got created, and internally these 50 locations or 50 locations got reserved in the memory point of view. Now, use case number one point of view, what I'm trying to say here, it is only 5 names you got. Only 5 names you got. So what is the point here? It is okay, fine, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 like that. So that means what's happened in this case? You are in the scenario 45. See, I'm talking in a small example, but think in a bigger perspective. That's what I used to say. When you're working for a real-time application, for example, banking application, Swiggy, or whatever it is, okay? So some larger perspective, thousands of users, something like that. So then you can understand easily. So now in this case, 45 names are, okay, with respect to memory locations, still reserved. Still reserved, allocated. Those are not being allocated. Okay, those are all allocated, and those are not getting released also. That means what's happening? Huge memory loss. Okay, you are losing lot of memory because you dedicated those 45 values also, because you declared size like this. Now in this case, the drawback here it is, I can't reduce array size. Okay, now you can't make like, once the array is initialized, it's a fixed 50 values got initialized. Now after that you can't modify the, so in this case you can't say like, okay, I got five names, let me make my array size as only 5 or 10, something like that, 5 or 10, whatever it is, like that. You can't do that. You don't have that in our Java point of view. So what is your idea in this case? You felt like, okay, I got 5 names, why I have to waste my memory? So that I can reduce my array size like that. There is no point, there is no, you can't reduce your array size. There is no concept of, we can't reduce, we can't do that. So that means once array is initialized with some size, you can't do anything with that size. So what is the point in this case is, you are unnecessarily wasting the memory. Use case number one. Now use case number two. Case number two. So this is one scenario. So in this case, what is the drawback you observe? Memory loss. Memory, you are losing lot of memory. Point number one. Point number two. Use case two point of view. All of sudden, okay, maybe you expected 50, right? Again, what will happen? Same 50 point of view, same story will be happen. The moment you assign, so the moment case 2 point of view, what will happen in this case also? You assign 50 only. So assume some reason you got more than 50. More than 50 values. See, in this case, more than 50 values means, while you are adding values to the array, you realized the values you got more than 50. So that means, I added first value, now second, third, like that, you are keep on adding. Now at one fine point of view, what will happen? 50 values are completed. So your array is full. Your array is completed. Your array is completed with all the values. Now still you are having more values. Still you are having more values. Still you are left with values. Now where you will store these values? So in this case, more than 50 values, that is the use case. So in this case, when you are having very less amount of values, you are, okay, memory loss, you are losing the memory. Okay, that is the point number one. In this case, the moment you got more values, here you are losing the data. So that means you can't make again in this case, okay, I got more than 50 values, let me increase array size to so and so size, like that you can't do immediately. So you can't increase array size, okay, let me increase my names array size from 50 to 75, like that you can't increase dynamically. So can't increase size dynamically. The moment you realize 50 values are got filled and you can't increase size dynamically. Similarly, you can't decrease the size also dynamically. So in this case, what's happening? The problem is overflow of data. That's nothing but you are losing data. So you can't handle the data properly in this case. So these are all drawbacks of arrays concept. So that means when you can use arrays, when you know that a fixed set of values and there is no change in that value, then you can go with arrays. For example, if I'm asking you take a weekday names. So you know that definitely weekday I asked you to take some array point of view weekday names. Then what is the size 7? You know that this data never ever change. It's not less than 7, it's not more than 7. Like Sunday, Monday point of view, if you take it. So that kind of scenario is okay, but maybe this is the what happens. So you have less values, you have more values. So you can't do anything dynamically reducing this size, or you can't do dynamically increasing this size with respect to array operations. This is the drawback of array. So to overcome, what you have to do? So definitely this is the regular scenario in a real-time application. Sometimes you will have only less amount of data. Sometimes you will get more amount of data. But if you define a fixed value, it should not work in a real-time application point of view in most of the scenarios. So in this case, to overcome this problem, what you have to do? You have to bring up a dynamic memory allocation. Sorry, dynamic size or whatever it is. So you have to make sure dynamic size allocation. So what is the meaning of dynamic size allocation? So if you need to implement this solution. So you have to come up with this solution. Okay. So that means what you are going to plan in this case, you will write your own solution. You will write your own solution, right? You will write your own solution like, okay, so whenever I created an array, I'll give some default size to array. For example, I'll give default size. For example, I'm telling you default size 10. Default size is 10. So you have to implement this solution to achieve any real-time application point of view, to achieve memory management point of view, whatever it is. You have to come up with your own solution like default size you will give 10. Okay, when, so in this case again you will implement like when size is reaching, when size is reaching to threshold value or something, size is reaching to nearby 10. Okay, add more, okay, add more number of, I mean increase this size, something like add more, or increase, I can use this word, increase size of an array. Like that you have to come up with your own solutions like that. So when size is reaching to nearby 10, increase the size of an array. So now for example, assume in this case okay, I will increment to 10 plus 10 20. Now again, if it is reaching to the 20, if it is reaching to the 20, then again I will add 10 more size plus 10 and I will make it a size as 30. So like that, what I am achieving in this case, dynamic increment in this size of an array. So that first, now today you got only 10 values. Okay, first by default 10, you are not wasting memory. All of a sudden you got 20 values. So yes, by the time it is filling 10 values, size is increased to 20. Yes, you can manage 20 values. You got 30 values. Yes, your size is dynamically increasing. You are okay, you are increasing the size dynamically. That is one scenario. Second scenario is, okay, now assume finally your array is having, okay, array is having 100 values, for example. Now in this case, you have to come up with this solution of dynamic what? Memory, dynamic memory decrement, size decrement, size decrement. What is the meaning of decrement? For example, for example, you started, some reason you started removing the values. you started removing the values. So in this case, what will happen? The moment you are removing the values out of 100, assume you removed first 10 values. Then your size should come to 19. You removed again 10 more values. Then your size should come to 80. So that means the moment it is reaching to 81 or something like that. So the size, the moment the number of values you are getting deleted, it should dynamically decrease this size also. So that you are adding a dynamic nature, nothing but size allocation point of view. The moment you are adding more values, size should be increased. The moment you are deleting the values, size should be decreased. So this kind of solution you have to implement. And then if you are using this solution as part of your application, okay, now you have to implement this solution. Now it will take, for that you have to take some different size checks whenever you are keep on adding the value. You can do that, you can implement it. How can you do that? For example, I taken on a high level, I'll tell you. So in interviews also they will ask you this question: can you write our own custom array or not? I mean, dynamic. So can we make sure our own? I mean, can we make sure dynamically increasing this array size like ArrayList? I'll come back to that. First of all, we have to understand ArrayList all this. Now, for example, 50 by default you take in this size or whatever it is. What you will do? The moment you are adding the values, you will check size of an array. Size of an array. So you assume it is reaching to something like a 45 value or whatever it is. Then you will understand like, okay, it's almost reaching to the 50. Like that, you will internally make sure some memory management point of view or some transformation, or you take some new array or whatever it is. You will make sure. So the size got increase it to the something like 75 or whatever it is. And then again you are keep on adding the values. The values reach it to the 70 size. When you are adding 70, so you that will be called as some threshold value or whatever it is, threshold value. So then you will realize like, okay, it is reaching to 75, let me increase it to 100. Like that you can implement some functionality. It is possible, but as a developer you have to do that. And that is what you have to use in your real-time applications. So what is the drawback in this case? You have a requirement to deal with the names, but the problem here it is, you are as a developer you are spending a lot of time on this solution, and then you are able to achieve this proper memory management point of view, dynamic nature, dynamic values and all. You are able to do that. So when you are having less values, no problem. When you are having more number of values also, you can deal with that without any errors, without any index out of bounds exceptions, all these things. This is what the solution you have to implement and you have to use in your project. Now what collection framework is saying is, in this case what Java is saying is, Java came up with some dynamic solutions to overcome these kind of problems, and they given as a collection framework. So now Java came up with some solutions to deal with group of values. See here, it's all about a group of values. That's why collection word we are using. So now Java came up with some kind of solution. This is one of the example only. Like that, similarly, you do have so many problems when you are dealing with more values, a group of values at a time. So memory management point of view, uniqueness point of view, duplicate values point of view, mapping point of view, whatever it is, you have a lot of challenges. So to overcome all those challenges, Java language came up with a concept called as collection framework. Now, what framework point of view I said? A set of rules, a set of solutions, not rules. Now, in this case, for example, I am telling you, came up with a concept called as ArrayList. For example, now what is the point of ArrayList is, whatever the solution we thought right now to achieve dynamic memory management point of view, whatever the solution we thought to implement, so that solution is already available in the ArrayList. They given it as a class. We will see what are the classes available, what are the interfaces available and all. So they given some interfaces, some predefined interfaces, predefined classes with lot of other solutions, with lot of solutions. Now, for example, ArrayList they given. So in this ArrayList, now if you are taking help of ArrayList and whenever you create an object like names, so in this case, what Java is saying is even don't give me size also. Don't give size also. So what is the point here? It is we are not giving size also. How much, how many values you are going to add to that names, you are not providing any size also. But how it is handling this size? Same behavior. Sorry, same behavior. It is implemented internally as part of ArrayList. So that means the moment you created names, for example, we will see that what is ArrayList and all. I'm writing just like that. Names equal to new ArrayList. So you just created an object, something like that, whatever it is. Now you created names. If you observe here, you are not allocated any size. You are not given any size. The moment you started adding values to the names, you can add any number of values. You can add, so now this names variable level, a collection of values. That means you can add Dilip, Suresh, Naresh, like that. You can keep on adding name 1, name 2, name 3, like that. You can add n number of values without, as a developer, you don't worry about the size. But in this case, as a developer, we have to concentrate on always size. Why? If you given out of the 50, index out of bounds exception. So that is what, that is also one more issue. You are having, there is a problem in the out of range, you will get index out of bounds exception. So you have to taking care of exception handling also. You have to worry always about size. And you have to worry always about the memory management also. If okay, so that's why you thought this solution to avoid that exceptions, all these things. But that solution is already given by the Java language as part of the concept called as collection. So that's why I said, that's why collection is called as a collection. I mean, that's why this concept is called as a collection framework. Now, framework is set of solutions. So that means whatever the problem you are having in our previous topics, I mean, with respect to collection of values, that to deal with those collection of values, collection of objects, group of values, group of objects, Java came up with a concept called as collection framework or API. So that's, for example, ArrayList point of view, you can add number of any number of names. So that your site, you as a developer in this case, we are not at all worrying about the size. As a developer, you are not mentioning this size. So that means in this case, size management, based on the data you are keep on adding, size management is taking care internally. Is taken care internally by this class called as ArrayList. And who implemented this ArrayList? Java team as part of Java language. And given, and these specific scenarios, I mean, these specific classes, and we have some interfaces also. So all these predefined interfaces, some set of predefined interfaces and classes are available. Okay, are called as collection API. Collection API. So this is what about API. So what is collection API means? A predefined interfaces and classes are called as generally API. Okay. So a set of predefined interfaces and classes are called as always API. So in this case, API is nothing but application programming interface. Application programming interface. So that means tomorrow, if you want to do a collection by using collection framework, if you want to do programming, then you can open this API. So this API is available as documentation. Generally, this will be called as API documentation. API documentation. So as part of this API documentation, what you will have is the information about, I think you know what is the API documentation. I already shown you a lot of times also, and I asked you to go through it as a developer point of view. So information of, okay, what are the interfaces you have and what are the implemented classes you have for those interfaces. Okay, and what are the implemented classes and what are the methods available inside those classes, what are the variables available, all the information, what is the different, what is the relationship between one class to another class. All this information is available as part of this documentation. That is called as API documentation. So now this entire collection framework API, collection framework is nothing but they came up with the solutions. And what are the solutions? What are the to use to those solutions? What are the classes available? What are the interfaces available? What are the methods available? Those are all you can find out from the API documentation. So that's why the set of classes and interfaces which are dealing with a group of values and implemented under the collection framework is called as collection API. Only those specific classes you are going to deal. Tomorrow when you are calling with JDBC API means again a set of interfaces only. So again in this case also you are going to have a interfaces and classes only. But these are all interfaces and classes related to JDBC functionality. Similarly, servlets functionality. Similarly, Spring API means Spring Framework related interfaces and classes. It's nothing but an API documentation or information available inside the API documentation. Okay, so that is what API documentation. Documentation will contain information of predefined implemented interfaces, classes, methods, and everything. But in general, API is nothing but the set of predefined interfaces and classes are going to be referred as an API. So now in this case, this is why we are calling it as a collection framework. Why? Now the problem, whatever you have in general, whatever the solution you thought, now what Java is saying, hey man, don't think about all these solutions with respect to array of values or memory management with respect to number of values, number of objects. You don't think about any kind of these kind of solutions. I already given those solutions under the concept called as collection framework. Now your responsibility as a Java developer, our responsibility is, so based on the scenario, which solution is suitable and available in which class or level, in which class available, based on scenario, which solution is suitable and available in which class, we have to identify and use it and then use it. That's all. And then use it like that. So you have a lot of solutions, a set of solutions defined under this collection framework. Now out of all those solutions, as a developer, based on your requirement point of view, which is feasible to your solution, which is feasible to your problem, and which is looks like a better solution for your problem, identify it and just use as part of your programming, so that now you can save lot of time to do a common basic things to deal with group of values. Like that they came up with collection framework. So now that is what called as framework. So a number group of set of solutions. So now it is a solution. Whatever the thought we have to overcome that memory management, dynamic memory management, dynamic values management, or whatever it is, that's already given by the Java language. You don't do anything, just create an object for that class, add the values, remove the values. Internally, memory management, dynamic size memory management, when you are adding the values, size will be increased. When you are removing the values, size will be decreased. This entire is happening as part of this class. Just you create object for that class and use it. That's all. As a developer you have to do that. So that means that solution is already available in this case. That's why framework. So this is how. Now finally you understood what we are going to discuss as part of the collection framework. So collection is all about a group of elements. Now with respect to Java, I can call it as a group of values are nothing but objects. Finally, Java point of view, we can maintain a group of objects also, right? Array of objects, array of values, like that. So similarly, a group of objects, more than one value, more than one object, something like that. Okay, so now framework we understood, and API also we understood. Now let's start more looking into what exactly the classes and interfaces available as part of collection framework or collection API, which is implemented by Java language. So that means now we have to know collection API. nothing but what are the predefined interfaces and classes available, and what is the relationship between those classes. Okay, these are all information we have to know now. Okay, how to know that? So for example, if you go in here, collection framework in Java API, see here, you can, that's what I used to say, refer this kind of documents. It will give you a lot of information. For example, collection framework, they are saying introduction, interfaces, implementations. Okay, so this is all a kind of theory point of view. See here, collection is the interface, something like that. If you see a lot of implemented classes, um, array list. So one of the example I taken here, like see, you have so many things now. From this collection, what is the collection? Is an interface. From which package? Java.util. So the point what you have to understand here it is, now whatever the collection API I said, whatever the predefined interfaces and classes, so it's all predefined or built in. What is the point of predefined and built in? As a developer, you are not implemented. Java is already given to you. So that means now in this case, whatever the predefined interfaces and classes related to collection API always belongs to a package called as java.util. So that means Java team, Java language provided the predefined interfaces and classes as to represent collection API collection framework. They given everything under the package called as java.util package. So that means in future tomorrow whatever the classes or interfaces you are using to deal with collection of value collection API or collection API point of view, those are all comes from the package called as java.util. So java.util is not a default package, not a default package. So that means what is the point? Not a default package means you have to make sure always importing. Import is mandatory. If you are using any class or interface from that package, import is always mandatory, guys. Because java.util is not a default package. Java.lang only default package. These are all very fundamentals. Okay, cool. And this is all theory point of view. What I can do is instead of this, I think I have my own documentation. I my own. Let me open once any document images I have or not. I'm not sure. Probably I collected. If I have anything else, I'll show you. I'm preparing good some API document, something like, yeah, I think we have something. Yeah, so I think I have it. Yeah, so I think something background is black, but anyway, I'll make it as white later. See here, this is what. Now, if you from this diagram, you can understand this is all comes under the collection framework. I mean, maybe there are some other things also available, but the majority are the most of the things available as part of this. Even I can take one more example. Somewhere I have it, I think. Okay, let's take Google Help. No problem. Collection, sorry. That exception handling is gone. Already we are completed. So this is what now that is also one of the API. Exception handling is also an API because you know the predefined classes, right? Exception, throwable, interfaces, runtime exception, null pointer exception. That is an API related to deal with exception handling. Give me a second. I'll just save it. Yeah. So this is what the high level, okay, hierarchy of collection framework interfaces and classes. So what these guys are trying to say in this case is, see, these are the prime major important interfaces and classes. Maybe you have a lot of other okay, interfaces and classes as part of this collection framework, but whatever this diagram is showing is all about what being used on daily basis in our day-to-day programming. The most commonly used interfaces and implemented classes are classes as part of our day-to-day programming. But still you may have a lot of other interfaces and because if you see this API documentation, you can see, right, lot of classes available, lot of implemented classes available. So that means high level point of view, we just have it here overview whatever being used. Now these are all interfaces. So actually what it is trying to say here, it is, if you remember, do one thing, let me make one more thing. Yeah, so I'll take this one. Okay, so whatever you observe here, these are all generally, these are all interfaces and these are all the classes available as part of our collection frame on a overall set of interfaces and classes. But I am saying like dealing with all these classes and interfaces as part of training is very difficult, and it sometimes couple of things even not required also. I mean, something is not really not required, guys, in this case. That's why I think before diagram is more important. I'll take that one only, collection point of view. Yeah, I think this is best. Even let me copy. This is the best with respect to collection. It contains only collection related uh, interfaces and methods, because the previous is having some other things also, like SQL exception or whatever it is you observe. Something is extra things are there. Okay. So these are all classes and interfaces available as part of our collection framework. So these are all interfaces and collection is the topmost interface. And these are all sub interfaces and these are all implemented classes as part of our collection API. Now that's what in this diagram, just as a diagram point of view, same thing, whatever you see here, diagram point of view, high level point of view, you are having here it is. Now what here it is trying to say here, it is the green color, whatever you have here, it is interface. And whatever the color you are having, this color is all about representing the classes. So it's all about classes. So that means in this case, okay, this will be called as iterable or iterable. So something, whatever it is. So this iterable is an interface. And from that interface, collection is a child interface. And from the collection child interface, you have list, child, queue, set, like that. You have different child interfaces. And for this child interface, you have classes like ArrayList, linked list, vector, like that. You have implemented classes. Now, from this diagram, what you have to understand is, so in this case, what you have to understand again here it is, these are all implemented classes for which interface? List interface. Now, list interface is a child interface of collection. collection. That's why it is called as collection framework. The things whatever you see here with respect to collection, these are all family of collection. Whether set of interfaces or implemented classes, this is the topmost, okay, interface we can consider with respect to collection framework, and that's why we are calling it as collection framework. And from here, whatever I highlighted, it's all implemented as part of util package. Util package. But if you take an iterable, again it comes under the, okay, java.lang point of view. That's why iterable, you will understand what is the iterable later. But consider this is the only thing we are dealing with as part of collection framework. So that's why this entire, whatever I'm highlighting here, this interfaces, classes, and below the collection, including collection, hierarchy point of view, inheritance point of view, everything belongs to java.util package. So that means now from this diagram, whatever the interfaces classes you are seeing here, if you are opening anything out of all these things, everything belongs to java.util package. For example, if you see here, collection is the topmost, right? So java.util. Now just click on anything, you are going to see everything from the java.util package. ArrayList, java.util package. And see here, the hierarchy documentation is what it is saying. So ArrayList internally implemented from the list interfaces. Some parent interfaces are there. ArrayList is a class, and ArrayList is having some subclasses. So that means ArrayList is implemented from the list interface, and ArrayList is also having couple of child classes like role list, something like that. So why I am saying this point is, in this case, what you have to understand is inheritance. So it's all about inheritance diagram, direction of inheritance. Implemented classes, like that you have to understand. Interface versus implemented classes, nothing but kind of inheritance only. So this entire thing will be called as collection framework. So that means now we are going to understand what is a list, what is a set, what is a queue, what is a map, what is a hash table, what is a hash map, what is the array list, what is the linked list, what is the hash set, what is the tree set. So we will see examples about all these things. So this entire things given as a Java, given under the Java language as a collection framework point of view, and we are going to understand one by one. Okay, interface. First, we will take list interface, and we will see what are the classes available. For example, if you go to the list interface, yeah. So now see, from this official API documentation, Java language, Oracle documents, what you can understand, a list is a interface. A list is a interface. Now, what are the classes available under the list interface? Implemented classes, all known implemented classes. What? You have a lot of classes. That's what I used to say. But the thing is, you don't need to worry about everything. But even I don't know. For example, I don't know what is this. 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 Maybe I used this one. I used. Maybe I used this one. I used this one, and I used this one. Even interview point of view also, they will ask what is array list, what is a linked list, what is stack, what is a vector, like that. So that means it's not possible to remember everything, and it's not possible to know everything. So whatever we know, whatever the common things we used to use or discuss, like what we will go with that. So like that we will go. So my point here it is, please go through this kind of documentation, guys. So this will give you the genuine information across the websites or wherever you go. You don't, we have to come up with this kind of knowledge always. So this is having very clearly what exactly the interfaces classes available, and so what is a interface, what is a class. Tomorrow you have a confusion whether list is a interface or class, because in interviews people used to say like list is a class. So you have a confusion, you also have a confusion. Maybe in initial days we may have it. So then how do you know that whether it is an interface or class? Maybe you can ask Google, ChatGPT, that's okay. But if you come back and opening this API documentation, so this is very clearly saying list is an interface, and it is implemented from the super interfaces. That means what? These two are parents. These two are parents for the list interface. Super interfaces. These are all implemented classes. That means these are all childs, nothing but implemented classes. So you have a lot of information from here itself. Tomorrow in interview they will ask you, can you give me some classes which are implemented from the list interface? So that answer also you will come to know from here itself, right? If you remember, then you can say like array list, linked list, vectors, stack. These are all implemented classes of list. Tomorrow, if you want to know what are the implemented classes available under the set, so that means if you click on set, then you can see all the implemented class under the set, has set, tree set, like that. You can give some of the example, linked has set, like that. So this is all API documentation. So this is all comes under the API documentation, guys. So I said, right, API is nothing but a group of predefined set, okay, classes, interfaces, what are the methods available, and that is all represented in the documentation. Now if you come back to the um, set or whatever it is, for example, if I am clicking on hash set, that is a class, and tomorrow you want to know what are the methods available in the hash set class, and they're explaining how hash set is going to work, how it is implemented. They given some theory also. Go through this kind of theories, and they given what are the constructors available under that class: a default constructor, a parameterized constructor, one more parameterized constructor, one more parameter. So total 4 constructors available inside that hash set class. Now what are the methods available? So these are all methods available under the asset class. So you don't, what is the add method? So add is a method. So what you are going to do as part of add, what's happening internally, they are explaining everything. Here it is. So this is all comes under the API documentation. So this API documentation tomorrow you have for everything. Tomorrow you want to learn JDBC API. So here you will have some documentation. Java is going to select this is the packages you have to use, and under these packages you have so many. Otherwise, I mean, this classes available. So you have to use this class connection driver manager. So tomorrow you are going to use connection point of view. What are the classes available? What are the methods available? So what are the methods available? So what are the predefined variables available? Fields is nothing but variables. What are the final variables, static variables available? What are the methods available? Connection dot close. Yesterday I told you, right, in exception handling we have to close the connection. So that means this is what connection dot close releases the connection of database. So that means these are all methods: commit, create, close, open, get connection. So these are all methods, methods, predefined from the JDBC API. So how you are knowing that? Based on the API documentation. Tomorrow you are learning Spring or Hibernate. For example, assume you are learning Hibernate on your own. So then Hibernate API documentation. So if you go to the Hibernate API documentation, they will give you what are the packages available, what under that package, what are the classes available, what are the interfaces available, everything available inside the API documentation. So that is all comes under the API documentation. So documentation contains all the information of predefined classes, interfaces, methods, what is being available inside those interfaces and classes available. So just go through it. I'm not going to repeat it one more time. Now let's start programming point of. So what we are going to do as a step number one, from this hierarchy point of view, slowly we will come to know what is why the word they are using iterable and all. You will come to know slowly, don't worry. And what you have to understand is this list queue set 3 primary interfaces are available, which are sub interfaces from the collection interface. And map is also one more interface, and it is a separate interface. Now in interviews they will ask you sometimes. Okay, we will come back anyway. In detail point of view, map we will come back. But just I am telling you from this diagram perspective. Map is a child interface of collection or not? No. That's why it is given as a separate. Why it is separate? What is the reason map given as a separate interface instead of collection child? We will understand later. Okay, why and all I'll explain later. So that means collection is the interface, and under that collection interface you have list, queue, set, and if you take in first one list, then you have all these classes: array list, linked list, vector, all this, right? So what we will do is first we will go with one by one. So nothing but I'll take list, and then we will see what are the primary main important classes as part of the list, what is the behavior of list, how it is working, we will see. Then we will go with set, then we will go with one example queue, then we will go with, at last we will go with map also. So these are all classes. We will touch one example with respect to functionalities, real-time scenarios, interview point of view. We will discuss one by one. Okay. So that is all about the history of collection framework. So these are all you have to. And one more thing, that's what I'm telling you. At least you have to remember this high level hierarchy, which is a child, which is a parent. So you should remember there is no option. At least I'm not saying like these are all classes you have to remember without forgetting one thing. No, I'm not saying like that. I'm saying like as a developer, at least you should remember the high level interfaces, high level classes. For example, list I said, right? If you go to the list, if you go to the list, you may have a lot of implemented classes. You may have a lot of implemented classes, but I'm not saying like you have to remember all implemented classes. At least couple of them. At least couple of them. So if you go to the list, how many implemented classes available means so many available. But at least you should be in a position like saying at least 2, 3 implemented classes, ArrayList, linked list, vector like that. At least 2, 3. And you should be in a position like saying like list is an interface like that. You should be in that position. And it is its super interfaces collection like that. And the overall family is okay under the parent interface called as super interface, the topmost super interface called as iterable. So this hierarchy you have to remember, there is no choice. Sometimes in interviews they will ask you iterable belongs to which package, is it lang or util? Lang. But apart from that iterable, the remaining rest everything comes under the util package, only iterable is lang. Okay, so these are all small things only, but you have to remember with respect to interview point of view, whatever it is. Okay, so let's come back to the list first. So as part of collection framework, as part of collection interface, under the collection interface, we are taking list interface. We are taking list interface. So I added that documentation also here. Just go through those links, or you can just check in the Google also. You will get it. Okay. So list. So what is the list? So the summary, you know that. So all are comes under the collection interface. Collection is a predefined interface. I mean the name itself collection framework. That's why they given name as collection framework. That means their intention here it is. These are all classes, whatever you are seeing here under coming under the collection interface, right? So that's why meaningfully they given name also, and collection is also one of the interface available. Overall topic name is collection framework, as well as you have one of the interface also under the collection framework. The name itself collection interface name itself. And what are the child for the collection means? You have list, sorry, you have, so collection interface is having child interfaces or sub interfaces. Generally that's what I used. I said super and sub is the professional words instead of parent and child. So sub interfaces point of view, what you have is list, set, queue. Okay, but there is one more interface called as map. This is also interface only, but it's not child of or sub interface of collection. It is defined individually. I mean it is not child of collection. Simple point is, and it is having some of implemented classes. We will see that one by one. Now let's take first list. So yes, I taken list, and it belongs to what? Which package, guys? Java.util. So that means java.util.list. So list is a child sub interface of collection interface. Point number one. Okay, fine. Second point. So list is having many implemented classes. List is having many of implemented classes. So list is what, guys? An interface. I'll represent like I means interface. List is a interface. Still there are people who used to answer as list as a class. They used to say we have a list class. No, list is a interface, not a class. So list is having many implemented classes. So one of them is not one of them, couple of them is ArrayList is the topmost people will use in day-to-day application development, as well as linked list, as well as vector. These are all classes, implemented classes. ArrayList, linked list, vector, etc., etc. We have. So we'll see step by step. Okay. So that means now what we can do in this case, what is the purpose of list? First of all, what is the purpose? What is the purpose of list? Yes. So this overall story, the collection framework, I said what, guys? It's all about what? Group of values. When I discussed about collection, what I said? Group of values. So to deal with group of values, not with single value, not with single object. When you want to deal at a time with group of values, more than one value, more than one object, like arrays. You know arrays. I mean, we know, right? Why? What is the purpose of array? To deal with more than one value, group of values only. So that's why arrays is also kind of collection only. At the arrays concept, what we discussed, array is also a collection because array is dealing with group of values. But array is having lot of drawbacks. And similarly, you have so many other problems, so many other challenges also when you are dealing with group of values. So that means now as part of collection framework and whatever the list, array list, what we are discussing now, the names, interfaces and classes, those are all going to deal with more than one value only. So that means in this case, the purpose of list or implemented classes, whatever it is, it's all about dealing with more than one value, dealing with more than one value, many values or whatever it is, more than one values or objects, whatever it is, elements, simply more than one. Okay, so let's understand first of all how we are going to write the program. So my intention here it is probably I'm going to take IntelliJ IDE, guys. So you can also start practicing in IntelliJ IDE. At least it will give some exposure to your profile, or maybe you can have a feel like you can work with Eclipse as well as other IDE called as IntelliJ. So you can download from the internet. You have a free version. They are having paid version also. It's a beautiful IDE generally. I mean, it's the most powerful IDE, but generally, if you want to get more features, you have to pay some amount yearly wise. They are charging, but at least you have community edition or something is there, so you can download it. It is free of cost. That lifetime free, but some less features you will have. But at least you will have a overview. What is an IntelliJ? So what is an IntelliJ? How it looks like? So how to deal with and all? At least you can do that. So you have a free edition. So if you go here, you will see free of cost point of view something will be there. So I think ultimate community edition is the free, I think. So this is all the charges they are making, but it's okay. But we have a free edition, I think. All IDs, IntelliJ idea. I think this is one you can download free of cost. I mean, you can download it. It's a good editor. I'm telling you, right? It's the most powerful. But only thing is, some of the organizations they are using still, but they will use paid versions. We will get a lot of other features also, and it is the most powerful IDE when comparing with Eclipse. So see, all these companies are using. But anyway, you have a free edition. Download it and use it. And whatever I have here, it is somewhat enterprise edition, paid edition only. But you can go with community edition. You can download and you can use it. I think this one only, ultimate only free, I think. That's why they're given directly something. Community edition or something is there. I think community edition. IDE for Java. Yes, this is I think free. Yeah, this is free. Just download IntelliJ Community Edition. It is a free and you can use lifetime. One time installation is required and you can use it. So there is no point like that. Okay, just for a change, I'm using this IDE. Now let's go and create the project, new project, and we want Java project, right? You can store wherever you want that. Just I'm going to create my project here. So it's all about collection. Okay, so what is the Java version you want to use? You can select from here. By default, whatever you installed in your computer, that will be picked up here. So if you want to add anything else, you can add from your program files, whatever you installed. I think I also install only JDK 17. That's why it taken. So it will take by default whatever you install. Just give the project name and where your project has to store. Give that information. That's all. Okay. So this is all. You can start using the IntelliJ. Okay. So fine. Now what's happened? They're given a simple standalone main class also for you instead of your writing. It's up to your choice. Now let's create a class. So Java class. So what is the class? See, when you want to create an interface, the moment you selected an option here like src, right click new, you want to create an interface. You don't see an option called as interface here, but the click, if you are clicking on class, then you will see here. If you want to create a record enum, so what is the record, what is the enum, we will see small topics at last. I'll cover annotation. We are done that. Exception class also, see they give an exception also. So you have to select an option from here. Oh, right now I want to create a class, test class or whatever it is, something like that. So the class name is whatever it is, list demo or something. Okay, fine. And if you want to create a package name, first no new package. So com dot Dilip IT collection framework. Sorry. So from this package, you can create the classes. So list demo is the class I want. Okay. So delete all this. So yes, now I taken a class list demo. Let's start looking more about it. So little bit first it will take some time, but after that you will get familiar with this and you can do that. Okay. So now let's take list, right? We take a list. I'll take one small example and we'll see more about list in tomorrow's session. Today we are done all about what is an API, what is a framework and all this. Let's take a list. Now, and as part of list also, sorry, we will take first array list. So array list is the class. So first we are dealing with array list class. And so that means this array list is a class implemented from list interface. So what is the purpose of array list? What is an array list? how it works. These are all we have to discuss now. How it works. So first, let me give you a small overview with respect to array. So now I will give you one statement like array list is a dynamic array list internally uses arrays. That's why they given name also array list. So internally they are using arrays only. So that means array list class representing a concept of dynamic array. So dynamic array. So that's the challenge I discussed. One of the challenge I discussed, right? So what is the problem with array? The basic array, you can't deal with the size dynamically. So for that, you have to implement some solution to make dynamic size point of view. That is already implemented by ArrayList under the ArrayList class by Java team under the by Java language. So that's why ArrayList is nothing but a array or it is representing a dynamic array point of view. And let's see here. So can I create object for the list? Can we create object for the list means? Answer is no. Why? Can we create object? No. Why? What is the reason? Because it's an interface. For interfaces, you can't create the objects. For interfaces, you can't create the objects. So that's why we started discussion of about implemented class. Now I'll take array list. So see here. Yeah. So it is representing package also. From which package? So take see here automatically what happened. You have to import always the classes or the interfaces what you are using from the java.util. You have to import it. Why? Java.util is not a default package. So that is how you have to do that. Now see it is giving suggestions also to you. So just like on a single tab, it is giving you some suggestions also like that. Okay, anyway, we will see that. So I'm giving names, array list names. What I did guys, here I created an object. I created an object. I created an object. Now before array list, before going with array list, for example, I want to deal with names of people. So what is the concept you know? Arrays concept. So that means what you used to do? String array and followed by some size. Sorry, you will not give size here. You will give like names equal to new, like that you are going to give it, right? And what you used to do in this case, you will start putting values like names of index. What is that index? 0. And then you will put values like this. Oh my god, intelligent is becoming really intelligent. See, the names also it is suggesting me because it's very difficult for me sometimes to remember the unique names, to get the unique names. See, IntelliJ is supporting that one also. Oh, cool. How cool it is. That's why I said this is the most powerful IDE, but they are charging a lot of amount also when you want to get all features. Fine. I really impressed. See, it is giving for list also, for loop also. Oh my god. See the how the things are happening in reality nowadays. You are not. I am not done anything. I'm keep on just pressing and tap 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 tap. It is automatically giving me for loop also. I mean the editor got my intention. We are going to loop these values like that. They given see starting size, length also less than also. You are not writing any code. See they given the moment I clicked on enter, the editor is saying names of I or something. Good. Jack, Jane, okay, whatever it is. Brilliant. So anyway, yeah, that's why I told you just have an exposure in this editor also. It's a good thing. And just download that community edition. If you have more money, you can buy also licensed one, and you will get all these features then. But it is very cost. I saw that we can't afford. Even I am also unable to afford it, but I got it. It's very too much cost. You see pricing, they are charging per year $600, including tax $700. So ultimate edition. So $700 means it's very huge. That too per year only, not lifetime. But anyway, you can download that community edition at least. When you join into any good organizations, then they will give you that ultimate editions and they will take care of charges. Okay, fine. So this is the challenge. What is the challenge here? Size. And the moment you given 9 values and you're dealing with that, it's okay. So you can execute your program and you can see the output. That's fine. I mean, give me a moment. It is running the program. So you got the values, right? So it's all about in the console level, you can see the values. But the challenge here it is, if you want to add one more value dynamically, you can't do that. For example, if I'm giving the value here, some other value again, something like something ABC, whatever it is, what is the challenge in this case? Now you will get an exception. Why? Why you are going to get an exception? You are reaching beyond the limit. You are reaching beyond the index. So that means you have a problem in this case. What? You are going to get some exception. So this is the problem. Array index out of bounds exception. So you can't, once the value size is designed, finalized, you added that much values, you can't add more than that. And that is what the problem we discussed. Now if you added only very less amount of values, then also still it is allocated value for example, assume tomorrow you allocated for 1000 values. You added only 3 values. Still in the memory point of view, 1000 locations are reserved. Even though whether you are utilizing it or it doesn't matter. So like that. That is the challenge. But if you taken with ArrayList, same point of view. Okay. So see how ArrayList is going to be created. We will see more tomorrow. I'm not going to discuss anything, just a small high level before leaving. Now ArrayList. Okay. And I'm taking like names list or whatever it is. Variable name, you can take anything. Simply you are creating in a way like object. So I can take like list of names, something, whatever it is, just like object tab. Oh my god. Here also it is giving all the values. Cool. So if you observe here, see it is predicting the previous values also. It's really intelligence. Intelligent. The name itself they given, that's why intelligent. Intelligence. Intelligent like that. See here, you can add any number of values. There is no size limit for you. See here you are not defined any size. If you observe here, the moment you created array list, you are not defined any size. You are not defined any size. That means you can add any number of values, like you can add 1000 values. Yes. So internally, some default size will be allocated. I'll tell you what is the default size and all. We'll see tomorrow. The moment you created a array list object, so internally some default size with some, for example, assume threshold value something 16 is something is there. I didn't remember it actually exactly. So I'll show you array list default size 16 or something is there. I think initial capacity, that is called as initial capacity. Okay, I think 10. Okay, fine. I think I given as 16, not 10. So that means what's happening? The moment you created object of array list, it created only with size 10. So that means in the memory point of view, only 10 locations are reserved. But the thing here it is, if it is reaching more than 10, see, I added a lot of values. So, but I'm not seeing anything. That means how it is possible? By default, it is allocated only 10. That's okay. But the moment you are added 7 to 8 values, internally it will calculate some threshold value, something like that. That means it whenever you reach it to seventh or eighth value, then internally what ArrayList logic will understand is, okay, there might be a chance going beyond 10. Let me increase this size, like that. It is going to increase this size. So how it is going to increase and all, we will see that later. But dynamically the size is going to be increased. So now see, I added almost 30-40 values. There is no problem with size. And tomorrow, when you deleted all the values, also, what will happen? Internally, for example, assume 40 values you added. Now, if I deleted again all the values, for example, some reason you cleared all the values, what will happen? Your size allocation still only 10 only. Now it will come back to 10 only. From 1000 to you came to 10 only again. So that means your free your making memory allocation is also released. This ArrayList is going to take it. So that's why this is the best solution when you want to deal with values instead of arrays, when you don't know the size, when you don't know the limit of values, whether it is a how much size exactly. Okay, so that is how you are going to use the ArrayList. So what I will suggest you is, uh, until tomorrow, just maybe if you have a nothing we are done today, just go through this at least, remember all these things. So my suggestion is, programming point of view, you don't have anything to do. So at least remember what is an interface, what is a class. Try to understand this flow by tomorrow, and we will see more information about ArrayList tomorrow. How to iterate these values in the ArrayList. All these examples we will see tomorrow. So how we are adding, what's happening internally. So how to delete values. See here, while adding the value, we are using a method called as add. In array point of view, you are using this syntax, index syntax, all these things. But in ArrayList, you have a method called as predefined method add. If you want to remove, if you want to get, if you want to iterate, what has to be done? All operations, addition, deletion, updating, reading from the ArrayList, what has to be done and all, we will see tomorrow. And what is the nature of list and all these things we will discuss tomorrow. Okay, so the real coding will start from tomorrow onwards in the collection API. And please I'm telling you one more point here it is. I will discuss lot of details with respect to ArrayList, and 70 to 80 percentage of logic, what we are going see, what is the difference between Dilip and so other person Suresh is, means both are humans only, but functionality wise there is a difference. Like that, see, in this case, I will discuss lot of points, but same points, same logic you are going to see in the these classes also, like where stack, has set, linked has set, reset, same method name, same signatures, but stack is having its own functionality, list is having its own functionality. So that means my point here it is, please concentrate on the array list, whatever I am explaining, because tomorrow I can't say again how to iterate array list. I will explain you how to loop it. But same thing exactly, same for hash set also. In place of hash array list, you will use hash set. That's all. You will use hash set, but the concept is same, like that. So please concentrate on the array list. We will take very lot of explanation in the array list. In remaining classes, I can't take that much because it's same copy paste. In place of array list, you will give hash set. That's all. You will give hash set. See, if you are wondering or not, see hash set. I'll create an object for hash set. What you observed? Add method is same only. Add method is same only. And you have a concept called as generics. I'll explain that also with respect to ArrayList. And that is same again for all other classes also. Like nothing but what I'm trying to say here it is. I can't take, not only me, anyone. We can't take again, with respect to ArrayList, I'll explain you what is generics, why we given and all. When I'm discussing again with hash set, again I'll directly use string. I can't say like this is the generic along with hash set, you have to take like that. So that means what is my point here it is. In the ArrayList is the point of view, I will cover a lot of other scenarios also, which are going to be same in the upcoming classes of collection framework. That's why I'm taking this point. So please attend tomorrow's session and then try to get all these details. Okay. So that's all for today. If you have anything, you can ask.